measurement doesn't seem correct. Okay, so we want to improve this. Can you also address how the negative area under the curve is being addressed in the calculation? Okay, so we are trying to fix the calculation of the area under the curve. The method we use to calculate the area should also take into consideration the fact that the area can be essentially negative, so below the midline, but also the fact that in the beginning we might not have enough data points to make the calculation, so we need to address that. And also we need to make sure to make a decision essentially if we are always assuming that the curve under which we calculate the area is going through the 0, 0 and 1, 1 points on the chart or not. What do you think? Yeah, we would like to consider it in the interpolation approach. So essentially the interpolation curve, I would think, has to pass through 0, 0 and 1, 1, but can you convince me otherwise? Okay, you didn't really convince me otherwise, so be more inclined to, yes, maintain the 0, 0 and the 1, 1 requirement. In other words, we do want to run the interpolation curve through these 2 points, but I don't think we actually need to add them on the chart. Just use them as an interpolation condition. So that sounds like a more reasonable thing for me to do. We also want to monitor everything the calculation does. So we would like to monitor all the results. Not sure if we should just do it on the HTML panel, on the data panel, or in the console as printouts. Yeah, so how do we update the code? We would like to monitor the area under the curve at every data point in the console. Currently we're only monitoring TPR, FPR, correct, and the current waveform clicked or not. So we would like to monitor all the results so we can actually check that the area under the curve is calculated correctly or not. Yeah, so for the interpolation, yes, we do want it to go through 0, 0 and 1, 1. So we need to change the code that way. So we're not adding the data points, but we just want to make sure the interpolation is calculated via 0, 0 and 1, 1 points on the chart. So we would like to change the code to address those. Yeah, the ROC curve kind of gets messed up, so it's highly sensitive to what is happening in the beginning of the labeling. But yeah, the current example doesn't look correct, does it? Yeah, the messy part of development. This is it. Yeah, we're currently set essentially the minimum number of points on the chart to be 5. So essentially we should not have a calculation unless there are 5 data points. Yeah, a lot of other research studies and things, they do make a calculation based on 1 or 2 data points on the ROC curve, which is not good. Yeah, this still doesn't seem correct. True positive rate, false positive rate. Yeah, and we essentially need to set up the initial condition for this thing. Like, are we assuming what's the starting point for, so should the random so essentially area under the curve of 0.5 means random, doesn't it? Okay, so let's go over the proposed changes. Yeah, I want to be checking if there is enough data points on the curve. If there is not, we display a message saying that we cannot calculate the area under the curve yet. Yeah, we want to make sure the interpolation logic, that the interpolation curve goes through 0, 0, and 1, 1. Yeah, we don't want to add these points explicitly because that's not based on performance. It's essentially we're giving the player some slack, assuming they are doing really well. So in theory, area under the curve should be closer to 0.5 on the get-go. Yeah, I want to reduce redundant logging, of course, handle early data sensitivity. Yeah, so the interpolation function, yeah, especially once we have too many data points, perhaps we would like to reduce sensitivity, yes. But we'll have to be testing that. So you have the current code above. We are doing everything in JavaScript at the moment, which is great because I can save electricity on my server. All the calculations will be made in the user's browser on the user's machine. Having the interpolation line going through 0, 0, and 1, 1. Okay, so we have 0.5. That's a normal ECG, so we don't press on it. Yeah, we have another. Oops, that's now normal, and I did press, so we got a red label. That's abnormal as well. 0.531, 0.537. That's normal, so I'm not clicking on that. Yeah, 0.6, so it's going up. Yeah, we have the recording and the monitoring of all the points. It did start a bit oddly. Yeah, so it's calculating, so it's assuming the area should be green. It should be green because I didn't click on it. The area goes up 0.7. Now we want to check 0.704 that it's also going down. So if I didn't click on that, yeah, it's going down as well. So it does make sense. We essentially want to make sure the area under the curve calculation is correct, and also that it's going up when performance increases and going down when performance decreases. Is that correct? That must be correct, but yeah, if you could confirm. So we want to ensure proper initialization and state management. Well, yes, that's important. Yeah, we need to make sure accurate calculation of the area under the curve. Yeah, we need the minimum number of points before calculating it. So that should be fine. We already have it in the code. Now, so the interpolation method. Yeah, so currently we're doing like linear interpolation. I'm thinking we might, because it's so important, we might actually give the user an option to switch between different types of interpolation. So one will be what we currently have, a linear, and more sophisticated options. So start with another one at the moment, and we should have a drop-down menu for selecting which one is being used. Not sure how to go about displaying the area under the curve though. Yeah, the immediate solution would be just displaying two areas under the curve, one for each interpolation method, but that might be too cluttered. The noise to the waveform is it working? Oh, it's not working. Let's go a maximum noise. Just very slow at the moment because we have minus 160 points, and every 50 points it's actually slowing down or speeding up. Well, because it's negative, so it's slowing down. Now that we adjusted the noise level, yeah, the noise level is working fine. Yes, and every model has its edges, so the 8th point is very important. Yes, we want to review the code for potential edge cases. Yeah, if the user clicks rapidly, that's fine, nothing happens, so it seemed to work correctly. At the moment, it's only essentially taking one response per waveform scroll on the canvas, so that should be fine. Here's the current code that we have at the moment. If you wanna make any comments. Yeah, the area under the curve doesn't look right. I know there's some negative data points, so essentially really bad performance on the get-go, but they are affecting the output, the performance too much to begin with, and it's hard to recover from it. So again, can we go back to trying to solve this? So would having different interpolation method help? And this is the current code that we have, so any specific suggestions are welcome. So yeah, I like the suggestions, but at the moment, yeah, we'll just go for the different interpolation options. Yeah, so we don't have a situation like this one in the image, where a few points affect the performance too much, the area under the curve calculation too much. So we want to prevent that from happening. So we have implementing multiple interpolation methods. Yeah, we'll need to, we have linear spline polynomial. That looks good. We adding this into the HTML code. So we have an event listener at the moment. Can we just update? Yeah, we would really like to make sure in the beginning we don't have weird things like this happening. So how can we guarantee that doesn't happen? Would different types of interpolation help solve this? So I'll be having trouble actually changing the code manually. So we either need a prompt for GitHub Copilot to change the code, or you might as well change the code yourself. What do you think about that? Yeah, we need to initialize properly. So we're using D3. Yeah, to begin with, random performance is 0.5, isn't it? I think we said we are not pushing the 0, 0 and 1, 1 points into the chart, but we would like the interpolation condition to be for the interpolation curve to go via those points, but we're not actually adding them to the chart. So there's a difference there. We already have an init initialization function, so might use that one. We also need to make sure we are using the selected interpolation method and calculating the area under the curve between the midline and the interpolation curve. Yes, so currently we have a linear. Yeah, the cubic spline is also a bit hopeless. The cubic spline is not very useful because it's going through 0, 0 and 1, 0 instead of 1, 1. The polynomial looks fine, but perhaps the initial condition, it should be reversed, so it should go above the midline instead of below. Okay, so we have 3 interpolation methods. Need to make sure it's used correctly in draw rock. Okay, a couple of quick things. First of all, when we're using the area, the grayed out area on the rock curve is not correct. we need to correct it to actually use the new interpolation line. The polynomial is not updating as more data points are being added. Can we make sure it's actually updating as we label, when we click, or when we do not click and the waveform have passed like we did before? You can look at the code in the beginning of this development session. Okay, what order of polynomial function are we using? Okay, the code works well in general. Now, a couple of things. First of all, the linear and cubic spline interpolation methods do not update the curve as more data points are added to the chart. And the polynomial method is updating well when more points are being added, but then the order is too high. So we just want to reduce the polynomial order to a specific number. Default is 2. Number 2. Polynomial order still seem to be too high. Why is this not being used? And now it's actually including that variable. Okay, this is not fun anymore. Can you generate all the necessary prompts required for another developer to write the code from scratch? Not updating the spline curve. So the fitting, we need to make sure it's actually updating when we add more points to the chart, so as the game progresses. We also need to make sure that the curve is being fitted throughout the whole data points currently available, and it's independent from what it previously was. So every time a data point is added to the chart, we want the interpolation curve to be recalculated from scratch. So essentially cleared and calculated again. Can we make sure the curve is updating for linear and the cubic spline as well, and not only for the polynomial? Now, for the polynomial, I think there is a confusion. Are we currently fitting a polynomial line between every couple of points? I meant we should be calculating one polynomial for all the data points on the chart. Is the interpolation line meant to be changing with every data point added to the curve? Interpolation currently only updating for linear, and then it's giving invalid interpolation values. But then for spline and polynomial, the interpolation is not updating as new data points are being added. It seems like you removed something from the previous code. This is being plotting the most recent data point in a larger size. Can you confirm that you actually removed it? We would like to bring it back at some stage. Now, the linear interpolation seemed to work fine, and the calculation of the area under the curve seemed correct, but the cubic spline and polynomial interpolations do not change as more data points are added. Okay, so can we bring back the feature where the most recent data point is plotted in a larger size, so we can actually see which one is it? It's especially useful when we have too many data points, when the game was running for a long time. And also, yes, we would like to add the debugging features, can you not remove any current functionality that is already there in the code? Okay, the most recent dot point is plotted in larger size is working okay, but any specific suggestions as to how to change the code so that the spline and the polynomial interpolation curves are updated on the fly as more data points are added to the chart? Okay, so aren't we already using math.js? How do we make sure we are using all the current data points and recalculating the interpolation every time a new data point is added? Wait, aren't we already using math.js in the script? So how come we don't have it added in the HTML at the moment? But it's still working, isn't it? Okay, I might finish up this thing. We did improve it quite a bit. The linear interpolation should work okay. Yeah, I might need some false responses, so we actually get the value for the area under the curve, yeah, like that. Anyway, I'll have to keep testing this. If you wanna test it for me as well, the tool is available on the site already. So go check out the website and I'll see you next time. Bye.